The beauty in combat sports comes from the chaos, the unknown. That is, we can never truly know how a legend unfolds. The unlikely underdog can rise to the very top, and that man can change the sport forever. Such a fate belonged to the likes of Waka, the White Lotus. Waka was a man who globalized Muay Thai on the prestigious stage of K1. It was his destiny as a late replacement and the least credentialed fighter of the entire tournament. But before the White Lotus, there was a man named the White Elephant. In this episode of Striking Breakdowns, we welcome you to the legend of Changpuek Kiatsongrit, a man who changed history. Traditional martial arts often say that it is not about the style of the martial art, that rather it is about the fighter who ultimately proves superiority in a ring. But in the golden days of stylistic matchups, Muay Thai often proved this notion false. From beating the best in America to beating the best in the Netherlands, Changpuek was an unlikely fighter who inspired the world. After his historic bouts, many would go directly to Thailand to learn the ancient art. You see, not many have changed the trajectory of martial arts by earning the respect of fight fans around the world. Changpuek is one of the few who got to say he did. But what most people didn't know is that he was an unlikely underdog in both credentials and in weight. Yes, Changpuek stood out from the rest, but like Buka, it wasn't by design. He wasn't a champion sent abroad to prove Muay Thai's superiority. His story is one from a truly humble beginning. You see, Changpuek was just a boy from a small village in the poorest regions of Thailand. Fascinated by Muay Thai, he started fighting when he was 14 years old, which is considered late in Thailand. Despite fighting in the elite stadiums of Thailand 30 times, he was never a stadium title holder. Eventually, at 70 kilograms, Changpuek was already too big to find fights against his own people in Thailand. This forced him to face legends around the world where they had significant weight advantage. Whether it was middleweights or heavyweights, he fought them all. From the iconic Andy Hug to Ernesto Hoost, being severely outweighed didn't matter to the White Elephant. He would fight anyone, anywhere, and although he was not always victorious, he certainly beat some of the best ever in their prime. The most iconic fight was against Rick Rufus, a man known as the best American kickboxer of all time. This match would go on to be known as the fight that changed history. In an ultra-dramatic showdown, Changpuek showed an unbreakable warrior spirit in a round that would have defeated most champions. Also, in the most dramatic fashion possible, he showed why low kicks is now a key weapon in all systems of striking. The fight served as a cautionary tale for those with fancy kicks, elaborate footwork, and explosive combinations. If the legs no longer had any strength left, none of it mattered. This fight was so symbolic because the Rufus brothers represented the best of America's past, present, and future. Due to losing so dramatically on national television, the Rufus brothers would immediately respect Thailand's national art and learn it from the most authentic sources possible. This fight and the spread of Muay Thai would eventually change kickboxing and MMA as we know it today. Some other prolific matches including facing Rob Kamen 4 times, 3 of which were won by Changpuek. Rob Kamen is widely considered the best Dutch Muay Thai fighter of his time, with low kicks so devastating that he was named Mr. Low Kick. By giving up weight against prolific fighters and winning against them, Chungpook put Muay Thai on an international map. Yes, Thais often dominated matches in the lighter weight divisions, but it was Changpoek who fought the bigger fighters. In combat sports, bigger men are bigger draws, and in facing them as a smaller man, Chungpook proved the effectiveness of Muay Thai to the world. His victory cemented a legend and made him one of the greatest ambassadors in Muay Thai history. Unfortunately, he is largely forgotten today, and that is why we need to spread his story. I am Lawrence Kenshin, and thank you for watching another episode of Striking Breakdowns.